cases in which we typically want to talk about ratios are cases in which ratios stay the same over some group of situations. Otherwise, they aren't very interesting. So that raises the question of, how can I tell that two ratios are the same? Now, because ratios are essentially fraction-like, this is pretty much the same question as, how can I tell that two fractions are the same? And the answer to this question for ratios is the same as it is for fractions. We know that two ratios are equal if their simplified forms are the same. What does it mean for a ratio, then, to be simplified? For ratios in which both the numerator and the denominator are rational numbers, and in which units of measure are the same if possible, a ratio is simplified when its numerator and denominator are both integers, the denominator is positive, they have no common factors, and the units, if they're the same, are canceled out. That units of measure are the same if possible means that if, for example, both of the quantities are heights, either they're both given in feet or they're both given in inches, they're not given as like one of each. Later on, we'll be able to make that happen, if necessary, as part of the simplification process. But for now, if we have a ratio of this kind, we'll be given both measurements in the same units. So how do we simplify a ratio? We cancel the units if they're the same, and then we simplify as a fraction. So for example, suppose a recipe calls for half a cup of flour and 2/3 of a cup of sugar. We want to give the simplified ratio of sugar to flour. So sugar to flour means sugar goes in the numerator and flour in the denominator. So 2/3 over 1.5. It's 2/3 cup and 1/2 cup. The units are the same, so those cancel out. And then to simplify this as a fraction, we want to rewrite it as division. You could use a calculator to do this if you like, but if we're going to do this by hand, we've got 2/3 divided by 2 times 1 is 2 plus 1 is 3. Rewriting that as multiplication. That's 4/9. So the simplified ratio is 4/9, or 4 to 9.